Hello everyone. If you can hear me, please let me know in the chat section, or there's a function raise hand. You should be able to hear me and see me, and if you see my screen, please let me know. Okay, I see some hand raises now. So I think we can start. Welcome to the webinar. Today we will talk about Impact Revit release, which came out on 8th of March. It is already available on the installer when you go to your installer. This release we worked on 3 months since December, and in my opinion it came out really good. We have a lot of new features. We worked a lot on development, and today I would like to review some of the new features. The webinar, I will try to make it easy to understand. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. My name is Justina Shadite, and I'm working as a technical expert in Impact Revit. So if you have any questions, please contact salesperson or me or our product owner, Desi Borisova. So as I mentioned, since last year, December, we worked really hard preparing a new release of Impact Revit. And this chart I took from our system where we make cases. So basically cases means that we rather make a feature or issue case where we register all the issues and the new ideas that we make. So you can see that this line is increasing very sharply because we have a big team working on the quality assurance, on development, preparing new features, making system requirement specifications, and talking to the companies who are helping us to develop the Impact Revit. So as I mentioned, we worked 3 months on the new release, and total cases created, we had 1,576. But that doesn't mean that all of them are features or issues. As you can see on the right side here, pie chart basically shows a very good picture of how many features we develop and how hard we work on preparing and developing, improving the existing functions. So working in sprint planning, which is Scrum planning, we work 2 weeks preparing a set of cases where we try to improve some specific area in Impact Revit. So in 3 months, we managed to make 232 cases, which were rather development or new feature. And out of 232 cases, we managed to release 33 new features that actually, in a way, helps customers to use Impact Revit. We try to make it way better than it was before in the 15.0.10 release, and we hope it worked. So on the pie chart below, you can see our focus area. This is something I also took from our system. And it basically tells that we mostly focused on the walls. And I really believe that this is really reflecting in our Impact Revit software, because we have a lot of features about Impact Revit walls module. It is the most stable, I would say, module, and people can really start using it in their projects. And we have some companies already working with those, and we get very good feedback. Then we decided since last year, December, to focus on shop drawings. The interface was stacked with a lot of features. So we decided to make it user intuitive so that user just simply comes in and they understand where user should click. Now it's very flexible. It is easy to understand and things like that, but I will show it today. Columns and beams, this is our oldest module that we worked since we started with Impact Revit, so we are still developing a lot of features. Like, for example, now we have set beam and column definition that eases saving function while saving in a database. Our new features, new modules are Slab and Form Slab. As well, we still work on Hollow Core. So I would say that these 3 areas we work equally, but mostly we focused on Form Slab, where we made a lot of development so that companies that work with Form Slab can now start working with a Form Slab production. And in the slab, I would say we're one step ahead than the AutoCAD, because now we have RC templates. We can apply end caps, and that is only happening in Impact AutoCAD 16. When you open your installer, if you haven't tried the new release yet, I would suggest that first you go through the release notes that are available there, or you have actually received an email from us with all the release notes. It is very important for administrator, or even if you're simply want to try Impact Revit, to go through the list and see what actually is new in the software. Today we will look at some of the points. If they are not clear, we try to make articles in Wiki where you can read more about the function and test it at your own computer. We also have some fixes that we have received from the companies that are using our Impact Revit. And so if you want to follow up on the case, normally we notify you, but if you see the fix in the list of release notes, now you can test in the new release. So let's start with the very first feature that we made. This is the first version of Erection casting material. What is Erection casting material? It's basically the casting material which is not casted on the wall. It means that this cast-in material needs to be taken by the mounting crew on site and then assembled on site. So now we have this function that basically selects family. You can go into the settings and say that this is Erection casting material. Once you have made this, it will appear under Erection casting material schedule, where you will have a overview list of all the erection casting materials in your project. The same casting materials will not appear in the shop drawings so that they are not duplicated. But when you finish the project, you have to make sure, if you use erection casting material, to print out the schedule and give it for your mounting crew. So now let's see how it works. In Revit, I have prepared those two walls as we recently saw. Let me see if there are any questions. I will open question tab. Okay, but if you have any questions, you're very welcome to ask. I will try to check it frequently. So I have those two walls where I have made connection for FPL, anchor, and loop. So I simply made very simple family FPL connection plate, which is face-based, and it was face-based on the sandwich wall on the left side. To make this erection cast material, I will simply select one instance. I have two of them, but this is the same family. So I will go into this family. And as you can see, this is face-based, very single family with just few parameters I made. These are the only 3 parameters that I made. And before you start making erection cast material, it is important that you have impact parameters that we use for our database. These will be filled once you make the erection cast material. But now if you go under Impact tab, any other function is deactivated. So we have this new function called Erection Cast Material. If you have types in your family, make sure you configure the right type. I will add row, and I will call this as 0101 cast material number. This is some cast material mark that I make. I say that for this connection, we need only one plate. The reference will be FPL, non-treatment, and this will be welding plate on site. I say OK. Now, once I load it into my project, I override parameters. So this family was changed. Before I check erection cast material, I need to save elements. So I will save those two walls, because erection cast materials, they need host element. Yes. And now when I go under update model, under creation of shop drawings sections, we have this new function, erection cast material schedule. Once I click on it, it says common schedule is generated. So I simply use Revit project browser and I go to under erection cast material schedule. Now I will see my new erection cast material, which was made in the family. So it applied this cast material mark. There is no reference cast material because this is not a nested family. It says that it was applied on sandwich wall 02, element 2, and then I get all the parameters that I filled in the family. Users might find it very useful when they have bracings. So for bracing, we have some bolts that we put on site. People were complaining that it takes a lot of time when they make a big project, and then they have to print out the drawings and calculate how many bolts, how many plates they need. So if you want to have a bolt for every single bracing, you would make a nested family. But what I will do now, I will just simply select the bolt that I added before. I will go to edit family again, and I will repeat the same procedure. Under erection cast material, I will create a new row, which will be 0202. I need one of them. This is the company I took the bolt from. A lot of companies, they have their BIM objects in Revit now. So if you're starting your standard, you might find a lot of lifts, bolts, bracings in the supplier companies. So I will make some description here for our mounting crew, what type that is, if I have some notes, and so on. Once I load to the project, I will override the parameters. And again, to apply the change, I need to save the walls because they are host elements for erection cast materials. Yes. Now let's generate again. So once I click on generate, it will update the existing cast material, erection cast material schedule. So now I got all of them. And as I said, this reference cast material would appear if I have made a nested family. Nested family means that I would open this bracing family and I would load on top of the bracing the bolt. But because now I have used them as a separate, I don't get a reference cast material. So that was about erection cast material. This is one of the first stages that we implemented about erection cast material. So you're very welcome to test and see how it works on your project. And if you have any input, we will be more than thankful for help that you provide us. Added beam section. This is something that companies have been asking as well. The point of this is that beams and columns in Impact Revit are Revit families. So in order not to make a new family, if we have some variable sections, we have made very simple to use feature which will allow users to add new sections. For example, if you have slight changes in the beam and you need several sections, just like in AutoCAD, but here is a bit different workflow, but it works almost the same. So let's have a look at the live project, how it goes. I will go to the plan view and I will draw a beam, which will be, let's say, inverted T. I will use the type of 24 on the shelf. We'll make it 5 meters. Now when I click on escape, I will get lift configuration coming here. So this is the beam that I just made. It looks like this. It doesn't matter which view you're using. You just simply select beam, go to impact, and say edit beam section. This is a new feature that comes under beam category. Here I get the length that I made, which is 5 meters long beam. And here I want to change I add new row to add new section for my beam. Let's say that my project requires to add ledged beam at some part of the beam. After I choose the ledged beam family, I will have to choose the type. I believe that this one suits, yeah, because it says 24, which is shelf 24. So you see, it almost came in place, but there is another tab, justification. Our justification point will be bottom right, because the shelf on the right matches with inverted T. Here we have some settings. Now we drew the beam from the left to the right. So if I make settings from the left, my new sections will be applied from here. So I say that from the left, 2 meters, 2000 millimeters. From here, it will start a new section, which I will make 1500 long. It means that from 2 meters on this beam, I will have a new ledge beam section, which will last for 1.5 meters, and the rest will come as the original beam. Let's try this. I say apply. What is happening now? It will create a new family. You already see that now I have only 2 lifts configured because my mass changed, because I don't have this part here. So let's measure if it worked right. So from the left side to here, this is 2 meters. That's where I started my new section. From here to here, I have 1.5 meters, and the rest is the old beam. If I check it on 3D, it looks just like we configured. There could be way more complex configurations depending on your project. We can also change the length of the beam using that function. What happened now in the system is that we got a new family created on the top of the old one. So probably if you are going to use this beam more frequently in your project, you would save it in your project folder and rename it, because the naming system should be changed. This is now saved under temporary files, but as I said, if you are thinking to use it later on, you have to move it to your project folder. So that was about variable beam section. This was very easy to use function, and we really hope that customers that asked about this feature, they will be happy, and now they can test it. This is very easy to use, and you will find it very helpful in your project. Standard update. This is again the first version that we started working on standard update, because we are having a lot of features, a lot of development going on. And if you, for example, had your standard created with the older version, now you would have to go to the families and add new parameters if we have implemented something new regarding parameters. But this makes our lives easier, because now we have standard update, which basically includes those new parameters in the families. From here, we can also type in the value. So basically, when the new release comes and you have your standard, you can check what's new in the new release, what kind of new parameter we provide, and you can add values for that. There was a very good example with this description. Companies wanted to have some kind of note box for every single column and beam families that they make, because sometimes the description doesn't tell a lot. Or, for example, the circular column in some companies is used only for residential buildings. So going to the live project again, let's say I want to draw a column. So this was my CC column. And now I get a description, which is also taken from the standard admin, because standard update, because I recently updated. So the new feature you will find under project category, the last function called standard update. This looks like that, and you need to check mark this because you want to update parameters. So this is the new parameter which actually explains, which is used in the draw column and beam function. So here what I did under CC, here I will write residential. building. So this is very custom. If you have some comments you want to use in your company, you will write something else. And then I would click update. Of course, it will take some time, because what is happening now is that all families, they are getting this new parameter. And if I have any kind of value, it will get a new value inserted in the family. As I mentioned before, our structural framing column and beams module, they are made by families. So after update, we can look into one of the families and see if the parameter is implemented and if it kept the same value. This column is basically general information, which tells user is a type or shared parameter. While working in Revit, it is important to differentiate those parameters, because type is something that is only used for the family, and shared is saved in your shared file as external file, which you probably receive from us, impact shared files, and you add your own shared parameters. And shared parameters can be used in tags and schedules. So now when I draw column, I will go under CC. This is something I changed before. I will draw vertical column just to get access to the family editor. So when I go here, I will, you see I got a new parameter called impact description. And it already has my value described in the standard update, which I have done before. Otherwise, if we wouldn't have standard update, you would have to create new parameter, go under family parameter, create type parameter, which would be impact description. And you would have to do it for every single family. But now this made our life much easier. And our future plan is basically start working on shop drawing update, because there are a lot of things that are happening in shop drawings that people now have to manually add, but of course it doesn't take that much time. The next features are related to slabs. I will show here some of the features like draw slab, hollow core or form slab, any kind of decking using pick points. Another feature is that now we have added proportion end caps. We will try to apply it for some of the edges, and RC template. So if we go back to the project, I will close family. What I will do now, I will draw some slab. I will choose a slab type SS23. When I say select boundary, this is the new feature that we implemented, which is pick points. This basically allows to pick points, especially this is helpful if you have XREF underneath your plan drawing. And let's say you have to make a balcony which has some shape. Before you would use pick model lines, and you would have model lines made before, but now this is faster as you can pick points and it snaps to the XREF. I don't have XREF at the moment, but I will try to make some shape slabs. I don't have any measures for guidance. So I will type in width of the slab, and I will have almost 4 slabs made here. If you're wondering about other features, I would say you should try them. Every user has its own style of drawing, and Impact Revit provides a lot of functions and flexibility to draw slabs, make different shop drawings, and we try to make our program as flexible as possible. So let's say if you have received external project from a consultant, you can say pick floor and it will exchange one big slab with, for example, hollow cores. Pick model lines would require model lines made beforehand. Draw rectangular, this is like instantly drawing rectangular, picking first and second point. Pick point in closed area. This is something we made last release. If you say 4 closed walls as a minimum, you can just pick point and all the slabs will be inserted in that area. You can just choose direction. And this is something new that we made. It looks good, and let's say insert slab. So I have my 4 slabs inserted in the area that I picked points. Of course, I could have made a single slab. I have all the 4 lifts already inserted. If I go to 3D, so these are the slabs. As I mentioned before, what we worked on is adding end caps, which are added proportion. It means that they are not cut it out from the proportion, but we can add additional material to the end cap. But I think it's easier to show it rather than talk about it. So once I go to impact, before this webinar, I have made this kind of end cap, which could be used, for example, for your balcony as a water edge. And if I go here, I will select 2 elements. Another cool thing about Impact Revit is that I can select 2 similar shapes elements and apply end caps, reinforcements at the same time. So if I select those 2 and I go to Edit Slab, I have option. It counts that I have 4 edges. So for the edge 2, I want to apply this end cap that I created before. And I want to apply on this edge 4 the same end cap. After a few seconds, you see exact end cap that you just made. So if you're using something similar for your balcony or any kind of project, now you can use added proportion end caps. So this is added proportion. Another thing that came out in this release is RC templates. So I have made some tests here as Slab RC. Let's have a look how RC template looks. So here, as in all our modules, we can select the type, how we want to place our reinforcement. So I have selected double bar mesh and double rebar. I can choose positioning for mesh and rebar if I want to switch them places. I can set up the cover here. And then we have edge reinforcement. At the moment, we have rebars only for 4 edges, but recently we are working on adding rebars for other additional edges. So here, what I did is I selected the quality of the steel, the dimension for that, and how many pieces I want for every single edge. Mesh also comes from definition. So from this definition, I have selected 5150 mesh. Let's say we want to apply for those 2 our newly created RC template. I will say apply RC template, simply select it. It will take you just like 0.5 seconds and you will get all your reinforcement ready. But before I show you, I will make it in 3D. So I will select structural rebar and I will go into visibility settings and say, show me as a solid. So when I zoom in, the mesh, we unfortunately cannot see it in 3D. So we get mesh area that we can preview. So I have my fabric sheet 5150, but let's check rebars. So here I got rebar, which is diameter 10 with the quality that I assigned. And I have 2 of them for every single edge. As I mentioned, there is still a lot of improvement going on slabs, and we are constantly working on developing new features, making sure that it's stable and everything works right. As I showed the pie chart table, we also paid a lot of attention for shop drawing templates. There's a lot of another development behind it, but one of the major things that might be interesting for our users is new intuitive interface. For those who have used Impact Revit before, they can already see the difference. This is still ongoing project and we are working on this, but we have some new features that we would like to show again as well. So we have element site configurations, which I will show just in a second. Panel visibility for showing inner or outer panel. Active disable measures is that now we don't have to go in the template and say add, remove. We just simply check mark on the measurements that we want to have in our shop drawing. In this new release, we have implemented opening measure, which now measures the opening. We have automated sections. If we have window inserted in our wall, we will get automated section just like in AutoCAD. And we already tested one new feature, pick location, which allows very easily to specify how the views should be arranged on the sheet. If I go to the project, I will have to find my template, which is under my standard. I will open sandwich wall template. As you already know, settings can only be done once you open the template. So when I go here, I have the only one option possible, shop drawing settings. That's where the magic happens, and that's where we make our template that can be used for the whole project. As I said, there is a new interface, so for those who have tried it before, it might look very different. There is still a picture, there will be a picture in the next release that we are still working on. So it means that when you click on rebar and you don't know how it looks like, you will get a preview of some kind of project where it shows how the rebar is displayed and what it measures. So now in shop drawing settings, we have two tabs. First, we configure a sheet. If we have several sheets, we make configuration for each of them. We select the size of the sheet. And what new happened in this release is that now we have split the wall into several modules. Now we can make different templates for wall, sandwich, and insulated walls. In the views section, there is a new feature, panel visibility. If you, let's say, duplicate elevation front, and for one elevation front you want to see only inner layer, and for the other one you want to see outer layer. So you would go here under elevation front and say that this should only display outer panel or inner panel. This is very handful if you especially have like some cast materials or wall ties that are applied on some kind of panel and you want to show it in a clear way inside the element. As I said, we have now implemented a new measurement for opening, which was not in the previous version. So this is very simple measurement, which simply measures only opening that we have in our wall. We have different placements. If we say closest to edge, it will come rather on the left or the right or the top edge. If we say closest to object, it will measure inside the element, closest to the window. Then, as I mentioned, we have site configuration. In the previous release, you could see that there was top left, top right measurements and drop-down menu that you had to choose from. Now it's very simple. Let's say if we says I want to measure on the right side instead of the left, I simply mark here. If it has to be on the bottom, I simply add check mark here. And as I said, we now have all the measurements available in one window. So if you're not using some of them, you just simply unselect them. Simple like that. In the new release, as I mentioned before, there is a new possibility to pick point. So we have location of the view, 4 different, even 5 different options. So if you want to align your view by the top right, you would say top right and pick a point using guidelines in the sheet, and it would be instantly placed on the new position. But I want to keep it the way it is now, and again, this is coming in the other release. The shop drawing setting is saved after you click apply. And let's try to go to the wall that we made recently. We draw window using show original, and using architecture tab, we pick the window that we want to have in our element. I will probably make it bigger, so I select the family and I change the type. So I need to save my element again because it was recently changed, so it should come with a star by element mark. I select the element and say save walls. The definition is applied. It says that it was saved. It means that now I can create a shop drawing for the wall I recently saved. We get our shop drawing template. If you have more of them, you would get a drop-down menu with any other type of template. And then I open my shop drawing template. Okay, now apparently I picked the point, so it was relocated, the front panel. But you see, I have the window here, and once I said closest to the object, I got the measurement inside the element, which measures opening. Again, as I mentioned, we have automated sections. So if I have the window inserted here, the section, if I had it configured, would be normally in the center, but now I have window, so it moved the section so I can see the geometry on the right side. As well, we have opening schedule and end caps. I don't have level 1 configured for that, but level 1, if you haven't tried in Impact Revit, is very accurate. It makes a separate project, takes a screenshot, and however you make those measurements, they will reflect on the shop drawing. This was released last time, and if you haven't tried it yet, I would suggest you try. These are all the features that I showed, but I want to show something else and encourage you to try more of the features, because I said we had 33 features. I would spend several days showing them all, and we only have like limited time today. We have made a lot of improvement regarding map definitions. If you haven't tried that, this is something that companies use when they receive external projects and they want to make their Revit walls from the consultant now called impact walls. So let's say they had some walls, but here all these elements are made in impact, so I cannot create a new definition. I would just simply have to choose the one existing from the database. But what we recently made is that when we create a new definition, we have more flexibility to rename a new definition. So user can give it its own name by the company standard that you use, by the system. Then we have this quick access bar to the definition to check if how the definition was created. So once you click on new, it will create a new definition. And then you can apply material, because material is not automatically applied, so we have to choose material that fits your standard admin. We have also implemented in this release new modules like columns and beams. So now it works with walls, slabs, columns, beams, and I hope I haven't forgotten anything. But this is, as I said, still ongoing project. So map definitions, we are collaborating with some companies, and we try to make sure that it works stable and it can be used for external projects, so people don't have to redraw elements from scratch. So they can just simply take external project, spend on this, let's say, 2 minutes to make it right, and continue working. This is called BIM, and this is very cool. Another feature I wanted to show I wanted to encourage to use is ribbon customization. Probably you saw ribbon customization last release, but it was the very first version. Now we have improved it all way more. So from here, if you don't know what ribbon customization is, that you can rearrange your functions in the order that you want. You can translate them, remove any of them if you don't use, and moreover, create a new tab. So let's say some companies are only working on columns and beams. So they can simply remove walls, bring up the tools, make them bigger, and also translate all the features if you're working abroad and you don't want to use English. So you would just simply go in here and say rename. The best thing is that we can save this configuration so administrators can use that. And once you save configuration, you can be a very good person and share to your colleague. I think he or she will be very happy. And this basically makes, again, user interface friendly, and you can arrange the functions the way you want. So as I said, we try to work towards a very good flexibility in Impact Revit, so you're not dependent on some commandos. You're free to rearrange things, pick from different options, and make your life easier modeling in 3D. So, of course, and there are many more features that I would encourage to try. And if you don't know how to try, there is a wiki, and we are making some videos. So if you try to search online, you will be able to find some videos, but mostly the new features we document on wiki. And to follow up, I would suggest that you have a look at our TrueSoft page. There we upload our webinars, courses. If you want to participate, the next upcoming webinar that I will do with my colleague Thomas is on April 10th, where we will talk about hybrid solution. We can promise you a good time there. Otherwise, we have a lot of courses. The courses are extended courses where we go through every single function step by step, make sure that users can start working with Impact Revit the day after the course. So this is very detailed. You get course material back home, and you can ask as many questions as possible. And this release, we made the first webinar about release, and we will try to keep that pace. It means that when the new release comes in June, probably, we will try to make a new webinar and have this overview if you want to follow up on what's new and heard how to use those new features, what is exciting, what we worked on, and how we distribute our time. If you have any questions, you're very welcome to ask them, because I have no more slides to show today. Just if you don't have any questions, please write in the chat box that you have no questions, so that I know I don't have to wait. And as I said, if you have some questions that you specifically want to ask anybody from TrueSoft, we're always here, and our purpose is to help you to start with Impact Revit. So if you have any suggestions or you want to try or ask something, we are always here, and we are here to help you. Well, I don't see any questions. And if you haven't thought of these questions yet, you are always welcome to send us email. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. It's very sunny in Denmark. I hope we have many different countries participating today. I hope you are enjoying your weather as well. Let me know if you liked the webinar, and hopefully see you next time. Yes, but now I have to say bye. Enjoy your working day, and have a good time. Try Impact Revit, and we will keep in touch. Bye.